Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Austin Moorhead, founder at Lava Automation. Austin, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Good, Tony. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Uh, so I've seen you at a few different conferences during this season, and I've seen the Lava booth uh, a whole bunch. When I first saw you guys, the the uh, the company name, I kind of assumed that uh, big tech firm with a whole bunch of verticals, right? And
Uh,
just one of them is insurance. Uh, and so it's actually very exciting that you guys are like very insurance focused. Uh,
yeah.
so normally break the ice a little bit with the weather. Uh, Looks like you're in
Milton?
uh, so Portland in October. We're recording on October 8th. I'm guessing cold, but not like bad yet. Like it,
Yeah, the rain doesn't start till I think November. And so it's like sunny. So the overcast hasn't kicked in yet. So it's sunny, but chilly.
also,
You know,
okay.
60s, 50s-ish, but sunny.
So that is nice for that
Actually,
part
it is
of
kind
north.
of nice.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
very nice. It reminds me of San Francisco. We had a weird like October summer kind of thing. Okay, perfect. That makes a lot of sense.
But
Uh,
it's nothing like the weather in Florida right now, which I'm sure is the topic for everybody.
yes. So for the listeners, as we are recording, uh, was it what was the first one?
Oh, yeah. Helene was like last week or something.
Helene, like 2 weeks ago, had just battered Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, etc. I'm in Georgia, but I was unaffected. Atlanta had some effects. I was unaffected. I had a lot of rain out the window for like 24 hours, but that was it. I'm on a ninth story in an apartment, so it was fine. But yeah, Atlanta had some flooding, and Florida got hit really hard. And now
Hurricane Milton, I think, is due to
Milton,
hit
that's
in
right.
like the next
Now
24 hours, roughly.
exactly.
And
Milton is heading for Florida. So
we're praying for those
hit
people. It's
twice
going to be bad.
exactly. Hit twice in a matter of weeks. Holy crap. All right. I'm sure this will have massive effects in our industry for years to come.
Yeah.
Uh, so we always give the guests the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is lava automation?
So LAVA stands for Leverage Automation and Virtual Assistants. And what we originally got started with in the insurance space was helping independent brokers set up their CRM solution. And so, you've got a customer that goes to the website, they fill out the intake form, we connect that to the CRM, and then the automation emails and texts can start dripping on the customer, asking them to take the next step. And so we have kind of an end-to-end solution. So the pre-sale, the onboarding, the service, and the renewals for personal and commercial lines, life and health. And agencies reach out to us because, they start trying to figure this stuff out on their own and they realize this is going to take a few years before we master it. Where you reach out to a company like Lava, and we've currently managed about 1.2 billion with a B in premium across the country, and we've set it up for several hundred agencies. And we can deploy our solution in 2 weeks. We can customize it with you over the next 2 weeks. And then we spend the next 30 days and then quarterly check ins to ensure that you guys are maintaining discipline using the tool and more importantly, getting a big ROI out of it. Some of our early customers that really kind of sold me on making this a lifestyle was they went from like writing 1 million a year to 7 million a year after we deployed the solution. And we almost guarantee that everyone's going to see a minimum of 25% in new business revenue first year when they add this. And so that was really like what got me into this. I was like, okay, I'm getting out of the insurance space. And then I was using staff out of the Philippines to do a lot of the back end work because it was quite a bit of work that goes into getting these configured correctly. And an early customer said, hey, man, I really like your team. Do you think that you could get me a virtual assistant or two to help with quoting? And today we have 300 virtual assistants that help our agencies with quoting. And so, what I think Lava really does is we try to help give agencies the most efficient workflow. And so, if you think of your problem and the way to solve it, technology first, VA second, and then licensed staff third. Technology is going to be the most consistent. It's going to have the least amount of errors, and it never gets sick. Virtual assistants are going to be up, 1/3 to one half the cost of your US staff. And then licensed staff, of course, they're going to be there to, be the finishers. But what then agencies then struggle with is, okay, how do we actually integrate the virtual assistant into the organization, divide the workload to them, and then, create this marathon where if you're in stage one, that belongs to the producer, stage two, that belongs to the virtual assistant, and stage three, it belongs to the producer again. Well, that's when we rely back on product number one. It's that CRM solution. We can literally divide the stages up in the workflow processes that really kind of absorb the virtual assistant and make them part of the team. And it's kind of a harmonious thing when you see it all kind of kick off. So we help agencies with VAs and automation, I think, if we're saying it simply.
So first of all, I love the passion that quite clearly just flows out of you.
Thank you.
And I never expected that when I walked by the lava booth, assuming you just did automation. Like
Yeah.
basically, what is it was very popular a few years ago. BPO,
Yeah, they're everywhere.
BPA, yeah. Or no, RPA. I
Oh,
assume
yeah, robotic processing automation. Yeah.
exactly. Uh, okay, so fantastic. Um, Clearly, you grew up in our space.
Well, maybe, maybe not. So I actually joined the military out of high school and lived overseas for 10 years, was in combat zones for 5 of those years. And then in 2014, my wife got pregnant. And so I moved home and I actually applied to a technology company that's up the road for me. I had a few years in the field working with their equipment, and they said, "Oh, you don't have a master's degree, so you're not qualified." It's like, I know how to use all these tools. And they said, and it was a temp part-time position, meaning they were going to fire me in 6 months anyways. And they turned me down. Like, what? You don't want the guy with 2 years experience? And I think that was like, the moment that I had the epiphany that I no longer wanted to work for anybody else. I called a friend up and she goes, "Hey, you should take a look at State Farm." I think the clue should have been that she was a broker telling me to go look at State Farm. Anyways, I started with State Farm, and that's really what motivated me to get into the tech space and to get into the offshore staffing space, because I kind of felt like State Farm had all of these unnecessarily regulations on their agencies. It was like, oh man, I feel like I could make a better business if I just didn't have these restrictions that aren't, natural
And if I had
to
access to more
being an
markets,
entrepreneur. Say again?
and if you had access to more markets, the
Yeah.
exclusive
Oh
side
yeah. I
is
mean, that was, I think, one of the primary issues. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted more markets. We wanted better technology, and we just wanted to really I wanted to run my business the way I wanted to run my business. And so I quickly got out of State Farm, opened up the brokerage, and on day one of the brokerage was solve the tech. And that's when somebody reached out to me, goes, "Hey, I see you're using the same tech as me, dude. Do you think maybe you could set mine up?" And then the rest is history. I fell in love. So didn't grow up. Started in 2014. So we're coming in 10 years that I've kind of been in the space. But I think I get a lot of my discipline. I get a lot of my structure from being raised in the military.
That makes sense.
Uh, Having led large teams at a young age. Kind of taught me how to do this, how to run international teams when you have to report to a boss in the US when you're in Iraq or Kuwait or Afghanistan, you can see really quickly what an international company can look like. And we didn't have Zoom back in 2010 when I was over there. Maybe it existed, I don't know. But we just did everything via phone calls. You get all the department leaders on every day, and he wanted to know what your scorecard was. How many things did you fix? How many things were issues? And every department would kind of rattle it off, and there'd be a bunch of people on the call. And it's like he could quickly kind of build a scorecard off of our daily calls. And I kind of emulate a lot of that in my business.
Okay, once you're running your own agency, your own independent. So once you had
Mhm.
freedom, right? You had freedom of
Yeah,
market, freedom of technology. What was the CRM, the first thing that you invested in?
it was. And yeah, so I went looking at like a bunch of CRMs. And at the time, there wasn't the solutions that exist today. And so I was looking at Salesforce, I was looking at HubSpot, I was looking at Entreport, I was looking at Keep, I was looking at Pipedrive, ActiveCampaign, etc. A lot of things that you would now classify as like small business solutions, not insurance solutions. And I knew that integration it was a big deal, and you couldn't get CRM and AMS integration at the time. And so I was like, what else could we integrate? And coming from the State Farm world where you pounded the phones, I was like, oh, we got to integrate the VoIP. We got to get the phones integrated into CRM. And so our initial offering was actually a CRM VoIP combination, Keep and Turbodial. And we could create like these segments in the CRM where you would get the segment loaded into the telephone. And so when you were making like a new lead call, you could make all your new lead calls. And so they would just kind of like waterfall one after the other. And but then you could finish that session, that little bucket of calls, and you could click into like your quote sent calls and you could rattle through those. And the beauty of having call buckets was you didn't have to stop, slow down, read a bunch of information because you knew that everyone that was going to answer in this bucket, we were talking about the same subject. Did you get the, hey, welcome to the agency, fill out my fact finder. If you're in the quote sent one, you'd be like, hey, have you seen the quotes? And so you could kind of keep your mind in kind of like this general area and not have to slow down to like look before calling. And anyways, we didn't really talk about it earlier, but we're launching Turbodial next week. We actually are just finishing up beta. And so Turbodial is coming to Agency Zoom, fully integrated, all kinds of features that other VoIP solutions aren't giving agencies right now. It has been a pet project of mine for about 5 years, and it's been
So
like
what
under
is
wraps.
that?
Turbodial is a voice over internet phone. And we believe at Turbodial that having in deep integrations with the technology to allow data to move and be segmented in a capacity that you might need it in the telephone is like our core mission. Like, how do you make the user experience easy? Like if I'm calling somebody that's not in my CRM and I connect with them, can I just push them into the CRM with a button versus have to go rekey in the information? If I've got people in, the new lead stage, can I get a calling bucket for all those people in Turbodial so I can just quickly have those conversations without having to slowly look up every individual before calling? Little features like that. And, we're integrating AI into it to get transcripts and there's kind of fancy follow-ups and other little bells and whistles. But we'll be talking about that a lot in the coming weeks as we release it into the market.
Okay. Um, okay. So the first part, the automation, the Lava product, the
Yeah.
CRM automation. Um, how what kind of agencies are a good fit for this? What kind of agencies are not?
Yeah, I think scratch agencies should really consider potentially less technology out the gate because of the expense.
Uh-huh.
If you don't know your process, if you don't have like solid leads, maybe you've got somebody on payroll, and so your overhead is going to be out the gate, and you're going to go get, $1,000 monthly tech, expense, between all of your solutions. And it's like, oh, could you do it on spreadsheets for the first 3 months, 6 months? And then once you know your carriers, your appetite, you know how to, get a lead in, get it out in a quickly time. Maybe let's add the technology then. And so I would say our average customer's book size, our average is probably about 10 million in premium. We do have agencies under 2 million. And if you come to us and you're less than 2 million, we need to have a real heart to heart just to make sure that you're fully committed because of the expense. But we go about as high. I think our largest agency that we've worked with to date is about 70 million in premium. We do have a couple of bids out there for some of those top 100 accounts. They kind of scare me because it's like, oh my God, you're going to consume me and my team for 6 months, aren't you? But we're open to some big accounts. They need the help too. We see that sometimes, because they're so big that they haven't had the chance to, be nimble and move into some of these new areas. And what they kind of struggle with is like implementation and administration. So maybe you can convince like the CEO and the CTO and the CMO of this new solution, but rolling it out to 200 people, it's a nightmare. And so they bring an organization like ours in so we can like hold the hands of these departments, for a period of a year till they get stood up with their internal staff to kind of run with it on themselves. And that's why we see they're kind of slow to change. It's like, how do you get that much resources into a company of that size?
Okay. Um, is it fully integrated into the big AMS systems, uh, into Epic, into uh, Vertafore,
So
Hawksoft?
we are CRM agnostic, meaning we
Okay.
will work with 7 different CRMs. When you come to us, you're looking for the workflows, you're looking for the blueprints, you're looking for the content, the process. And so I think we have like 500 unique touch points that we customize to your organization, but we can currently, and we recommend a couple CRMs, but specifically you should go after one that does integrate into Epic. And so a CRM that integrates into Epic today is InsuredMind. So if you're on Applied and you have Epic and you don't have InsuredMind, you are missing out on 25% increased revenue this year. It's just that simple. And so, I don't work for InsuredMind, but these are facts. And so if you add a CRM, you will see a spike in revenue, period. You're going to, you can run some loose math on it, but like a $10 million agency is going to save about $25,000 per month in automated follow-ups. That if they were to try to replace the CRM with W-2s, they would spend about 25 grand to keep up with the CRM. And so it's like, oh my God, you start actually looking at the numbers and analyzing what these tools do for you, and it's a no-brainer, or maybe you're just really missing, what's right in front of your face. And then so if you're on something like Vertafore AMS 360 QQ, hands down, grab agency Zoom, same concept, right? Everything that's in the CRM syncs to the system. There's two-way integration. So you're updating something in agency Zoom, it updates it in 360. You update it in 360, it updates in agency Zoom. And so the systems are kind of like one. And I think agencies today are now seeing that the CRM is probably the most important tool in their organization because it does all the heavy lifting. I mean, a $10 million agency is going to save 25 grand a month in follow-ups. The AMS is not doing that amount of work for you. All it is kind of like a filing cabinet to get, CYA. It manages your downloads and maybe your commissions, which is very important. But
Quick pause. Russian is gonna love you for the huge mention, huge shout out. For the listeners, if you have not listened to our episode with Russian Jaiswal, CEO of InsuredMind, that's episode 518. I'll try to
yeah,
remember to include a link. Agency Zoom, I don't think I've had them on. I've seen them a lot. I don't think I've had them on the podcast. So Agency Zoom.
yeah, maybe we'll talk about InsuredMind just a little bit more. So InsuredMind is the I think the only CRM that's talking to Applied. That's a big deal. I think it's the first of its kind. Like, what mind should be blown right now if you're an Applied user? But InsuredMind also connects to Hawksoft, Now Certs. It does connect to Vertafore. So if you love InsuredMind, you can put it basically in any platform. It's crazy, crazy,
That is
crazy.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Or right, okay. So we talked about how it connects into the MS. So basically, as long as you have a decent CRM, this kind of automation just makes a ton of sense.
Oh
If
yeah.
if you don't have a modern CRM, let's have the conversation on why you should, because
Yeah.
25% is gigantic, yes. Um,
That's the low side. We've seen people 7x, 7x. We've seen agencies go from 8 million
so,
in book to $50 million in book in 4 years.
so tell me about that particular case. Was it
Well, it's not one. I think we've got 10 of them.
holy crap? Okay, so what do they have in common? The ones that truly just skyrocket by bringing you guys in. Uh, what do they have in common that made them so freaking successful?
Yeah.
You guys.
And it's something that nobody wants to do. So every time you see someone being successful, it's because they'll do something everybody else is not willing to do. And there's some caveats to that, but the big thing is, so when you come to Lava, you're looking to get your engine built out, right? We'll custom make a Ferrari for you guys that's going to have all these cool little bells and whistles and kind of custom stuff to understand the fingerprint of your organization. But it's nothing unless you put gas in it, and the gas is the leads. And so our organizations that do the best are willing to either they've got a really nice joint venture or referral partner system where they're getting inundated with opportunities that they couldn't keep up with in the past, or they're willing, and this is the big one, to go purchase leads. And if you talk to the independent channel across the country, that is a curse word, buying leads. And so when we see agencies go, hey, I think we can get a go at this, and oh, we're getting traction on this, and oh my gosh, I spent $25,000 last month in lead spend, and we wrote $1 million in new business premium. The light bulb goes off, and their minds explode, and they're like, can we put 50K in next month because I'll take those returns all day, every day. And so our fourth product that I haven't mentioned yet is when you get into lead and media buying where you're getting a bunch of opportunities, you need to have really good analytics. And so we always recommend that you have like a minimum of 5 paid ads at any time, and every quarter you're looking to trim off the bottom 20% and replace them with a new vendor, slowly bringing your conversion rates up across your paid sources. And our best agencies probably have hundreds of unique lead sources, and half of them are paid, half of them are organic and like referral partners and things of that nature. But if you have really good analytics, now you have a window into, hey, this is the lead source that we want to trim this quarter. And if you don't have those analytics, or if you don't know how to kind of even manually go pull that data out of your system, you're kind of flying blind. And so we've been working on a new custom analytics tool that reads your CRM and it tells you where the campaigns are performing good, where the campaigns are performing poorly, where the lead sources are, winning, where they're not winning. And then more importantly, we can kind of, maybe not more importantly, but equally importantly, we can look at how the individual producers are kind of managing the person through the funnel in a clear kind of picture. And so our fourth product is Lava Reports, which is custom analytic dashboards with the ability, and this is the one big caveat that we learned in their early years. We used to share all customer data with all customers. We're not going to give like policy information or client information, but we're going to give like things like how many calls did producer one make an agency one? How many calls did producer two make an agency one? And then we would share that with the other 50 agencies, and it was a very manual effort. And all of our agencies, what happened was we created a scoreboard amongst the agencies across the country, and they started competing with each other. The agents started competing with agents in other states, and there was a bunch of shit talking. And you could see that it was slowly bringing morale up. And it's because you could get stuck in a bubble in your own agency. You could think that you're a top performer, but you're just looking at 4 other people maybe. And when all of a sudden your border increases to looking at 50 other agencies, and you see there's this outlier, you want to know what they're doing. And so one of the cool things about Lava is we'll show you what our other agencies are doing to be successful. And so in this analytics dashboard, we have things like how many leads, how many calls, how many texts, how many quotes, and then what was the total premium, what was the count of the items. And you can see yourself versus other users across the country. And so if you got a guy in your shop who thinks he's, Mr. Cheese, let him hop in this thing and see where he compares to the rest of the people.
That's a
Uh,
really cool idea.
yeah, it works. We've done it. It was very manual in the beginning, and it was just like, oh man, what are we going to do to make this more automated? So we just plug it into the tools and let it run, and people get motivated by creating a little bit of competition.
Absolutely, especially insurance agents.
Yeah, yeah. But if you're in sales and you like sales, you want to win. You like being the best. And so if you see your numbers are just slightly below somebody else's, what are you going to do? You're going to pick them up. And all of a sudden we see the averages go up over time. And so creating like a healthy competition is kind of the goal.
Fantastic. Um, what is the pricing like?
If you're coming through and you want like the CRM solution that starts at 4,500 bucks, the virtual assistants start at $13 an hour. Turbodial, I think is currently set to like $30 a user, super affordable. And the custom analytics is 100 bucks an agency per month. So everything that Lava offers is dirt cheap when you go and look at what other providers are putting out there. In fact, we're usually 15 to 30% cheaper than other competitors. But our user base tells us that we're giving just way more value than them. And so I think it's because we have this offshore element to our company, we can keep our costs low. We're able to then offer that as savings on the front end.
That is fantastic. Um, so you're very excited about Turbodial. Uh,
Yeah.
what else is coming down the
Pipeline.
the pipeline? Yeah.
Honestly, if nothing comes down for a little while, I'll be happy. These projects have been, I work 12-hour days, 6 days a week still, even though I tell people I don't. And I travel. You see me, I'm at every conference you're at usually. And, I still have a couple more conferences this year. I would like to be happy and content for a while. I've been putting it in. AI is definitely what's on the horizon. And so I think for us, it's like, how do we integrate it into our current solutions? But I don't think we're going to be making a fully new product anytime soon. What we have is pretty robust. And it's like, okay, what can we do to enhance what we have is kind of the goal.
Yeah, we can pretty much guarantee 25% growth in
I will guarantee it. I will guarantee it. Money back if I don't hit it. Let's do it. I'll guarantee it.
that.
And maybe you hit 7x.
Right, like if I don't run an agency, but if I ran an agency, like why would I not give you a shot, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
why
what we
not?
think sometimes agencies think that, oh, they can do it better or they can do it themselves. And it's like, well, what hat do you want to wear? Do you want to be the insurance agency owner that's managing a team of sales producers and service personnel? Or do you want to be a CTO that's, has a mix of CMO in them that has to do the tech slash the marketing? And so when we built the very first solution, it took us about 2 years to perfect. And we were building that with looking inside about 50 agencies. And so if you're going to go at it by yourself as a single agency and think that you're going to figure out all the A/B testing with one agency under your belt to really look at, and when 2 years comes and you finish what you think is your, build, and you hop on with me, we've met hundreds of agencies that think they've done it right. I'm like, well, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And they're like, oh my God, no. Well, and so the benefit of coming to an organization like us is, we've worked with hundreds of organizations and we've heard all their pain points and we've had to solve them all already. And so, do you want to spend 2 years trying to A/B test your way through it instead of just focusing on what I think is the more important thing in your business, getting more opportunity and, blocking and tackling and getting those to the close? Or do you want to spend your time tinkering and shiny objects and constantly squirreling on these fun little projects, which quite frankly don't bring an immediate ROI? We can come in and finish line tomorrow, and you can just be, business as usual. And so once I think agencies kind of have that concept like in their, like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, do we really want to struggle through this? Then they come running to us. And we love to help. So
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This is
so tell me,
exciting.
I was going to ask about your agency. And so you don't have one now? You're going to get back in there. Let's do this. Let's get yours going. Let's go. I think about getting back into the space all the time. I'm so busy with all these projects.
I've never been an agent. I grew up in the carrier space. I work with a lot of agencies. As an underwriter, as a sales manager, or marketing rep.
Yeah.
Nowadays, as a recruiter, we help them find account managers and producers, especially account managers. Um, so my I'm often chat, especially when I'm chatting with newer agencies or with very traditional agencies, and and they're like maybe the new generation is taking over, and they're like this thing has been slowly declining, not growing at all. That's
Yeah.
gonna retire, and like
The
how
foot
do
on
I
all the gas anymore, kind of coasting.
exactly how do I turn this into something that's not boring? Number one, number two, that is growing again because it's not in its current form. It's not going to last until I retire, right? Uh, and I uh, basically tell them, uh, number one, your processes right. Number two, VA, the stuff that's VA, the stuff that doesn't require a licensed person. Uh, Hold on, did you freeze? You might have
Yeah.
frozen. Okay,
I'm still
back.
here. Mm.
No, number three, we can help you find new account managers once you have those things in place. Uh, and I after this conversation, I think I'm gonna add you, is your CRM uh producing big growth? If it's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um
I mean, there's applications on the carrier side. And quite frankly, what Lava does for the insurance space is a small business need. It isn't exclusive to our vertical. We just love insurance. But there's versions of our organization, probably in every vertical. Maybe they're not as cool as us, but every vertical probably has some type of guy like me or gal like me that's out there helping agencies be more efficient with tech. And you should really seek those people out, right? Like they're the people that are going to guide you through, that experience. And they're the experts oftentimes in those solutions. It's like, do you always got to fight it or just go find the help, find the guide, someone who's been there.
Fantastic. I am extremely biased in favor of insurtechs that are started by us,
Yeah.
right? By agents, by former carrier people, rather than a tech bro with a cool tech product. What I call it
Yeah.
a tech hammer looking for an insurance nail.
Yeah.
So yes, big fan of this type of insurtech and this kind of success that you're producing for your clients and the passion that you bring into it. uh no brainer, people. Like if you're running an agency and you're big enough,
Bigger than 2 million, it's a no-brainer. If you're less than 2
uh,
million, it's a hard talk, right? We need to have a serious conversation because it's a commitment. Will you follow it? Can you put enough gas in the engine to justify the cost? Because your overhead's going to eat you alive if you're not, writing as if you're a single man shop and you can't write 50K a month. Like maybe you should wait, you know,
all
maybe you
right.
should.
Very, very, very cool. Any idea which conferences you're going to be in the spring?
Well, I know that we have ITC coming up next
Right,
week,
yeah.
I think, and I was supposed to go to Tampa in 2 weeks, but I found out this morning that we're going to cancel that. I'm good with it. I'm ready to be home. And then I actually have this crazy tracker. Oh my God, it's because we have to, because there's 5 people on my team that travel. And so we have this huge spreadsheet to like manage it, the flights, the hotels, the booking numbers, reservation numbers, the show up time, the tear down time. Uh, and so let's see so I know we're doing Insurance Network Alliance in January, so not even in the springtime. And then it looks like there's a HUD conference, an ABU conference, a bunch of big I stuff. And then we're going to be doing NetView and uh, some PIA stuff and FAIA. I mean, as much as we can, we try to get at least someone from our organization out to one of these shows.
Okay.
But looking forward to the Insurance Network Alliance in January. That should be pretty exciting.
Fantastic. Austin, this has been a really fun conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Look forward to see you guys continue to grow.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony, for having me on.
So yeah, thank you so much.